The Discovery. The corridor lights flickered as Dr. Aya Chen made her final rounds through the lower levels of Nexus Research Facility. Most staff had left hours ago, but Aya preferred the solitude of night shifts. The quiet made it easier to think. Security protocols complete, she murmured to herself, scanning her badge across each checkpoint. This was routine, monotonous even, until she reached sub-level 8. The motion sensor light activated unexpectedly near the quarantine chambers. That was impossible. No one had clearance for this area except Director Cooper and herself. "Hello?" she called, her voice echoing against sterile walls. No response. Aya approached cautiously, wishing she'd brought the security drone. As she rounded the corner, a soft thud came from Quarantine Room 3. The door was ajar, just slightly. "This is Dr. Chen, head of xenobiology," she announced, pushing the door open with her foot. "Identify yourself immediately." What she saw made her breath catch. Huddled in the corner was a woman. At least she appeared woman-shaped, with skin the color of twilight lilacs. She looked up, eyes wide with fear, a slight tremble visible in her shoulders. "Please," the woman whispered, her voice melodic yet strained, "don't alert them."
Breaking protocol. Aya's private lab hummed with the soft glow of equipment as she gently helped Arya onto the examination table. The wound on Arya's side pulsed with a faint luminescence, something she'd never seen before in her years of xenobiology research. "This isn't a typical injury," Aya said, gathering medical supplies from her cabinet. "What caused it?" Arya winced as she settled onto the table. "Tracking implant," she explained. "My people insert them into all scouts. I had to remove mine when I decided not to return." "You removed it yourself?" Aya asked, impressed despite her concern. "Not cleanly enough, apparently." Arya attempted a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "The extraction fluid is causing the bioluminescence. It's not dangerous to you, but it's uncomfortable for me." Aya prepared a solution to clean the wound. "Why are you running from your own people?" she asked, working methodically. "And why come here, to this facility specifically?" Arya watched Aya's hands move with practiced precision. "Because this is where it will begin. The infiltration, the preparation." "Preparation for what?" Aya asked, pausing her work. "Assimilation," Arya replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Commander Rena has convinced our council that Earth is ripe for colonization, but not through invasion, through gradual replacement." Aya's hand stilled. "Replacement?" "We've been studying humans for decades. I was one of the chief researchers, tasked with understanding human emotion, social structures, vulnerabilities. The data I collected was meant to help us integrate undetected." "And you had a change of heart," Aya said, applying a synthetic skin graft to the wound. Arya nodded. "I was supposed to remain detached, clinical. But the more I learned about humans, your art, your resilience, your capacity for connection despite your brief lives, the more I questioned our mission." The facility's doors suddenly beeped, indicating an access attempt. Aya froze. "Dr. Chen?" Cooper's voice came through the intercom. "Security flagged unusual movement in the quarantine section. Everything all right?" Aya moved swiftly to the door panel. "All fine, Director," she called back, keeping her voice casual. "Just running some late tests on those samples from Iceland." A pause. "At 2 a.m.? You know me, Cooper. Science doesn't sleep." Another pause. "Right. Don't stay too late." His footsteps retreated down the hall. Aya released her breath, turning back to Arya. "We don't have much time. Cooper's thorough. He'll check the logs eventually." "I need to show you something," Arya said, reaching for a small device concealed in her clothing. It projected a holographic map showing various points across Earth, pulsing with light. "These are the first planned replacement sites. Your Nexus facility is the control center because of your genetic research." Aya studied the map, her mind racing. "What's the timeline?" 3 months until the advanced team arrives, led by Commander Rena herself. "Why are you risking everything to tell me this?" Aya asked, genuinely curious. Arya's eyes held hers. "Because I believe there's another way for our worlds to meet, not through deception or dominance." The facility's system suddenly shifted to Amber Alert status. Cooper was initiating a security sweep. "We need to leave," Aya said decisively, gathering essential equipment and her research tablet. "They'll lock down the lab remotely next." "Where can we go?" Arya asked, standing carefully. Aya thought quickly, weighing options and risks. "I have a colleague, Kai, who left Nexus last year. He has a place in the mountains, off-grid, if we can reach him." "You'd risk your career, your reputation," Arya said, studying Aya's face. "Why?" Aya surprised herself with her answer. "Because 15 years studying the possibility of beings like you has taught me one thing. Connection matters more than protocol." As the security alert intensified, they slipped through the emergency exit into a night filled with uncertainty and possibility. The pursuit. Rain pelted the windshield as Aya navigated the winding mountain roads, her knuckles white against the steering wheel. Beside her, Arya watched the wipers battle against the downpour, fascination evident on her face despite their dire circumstances. "Your precipitation is so forceful," she remarked, reaching toward the window before pulling back. "On my world, it falls like mist, never this heavy." Aya glanced at her, momentarily distracted from their predicament. "There's so much I want to ask you about your planet," she admitted. "If we weren't running for our lives, I'd have 1,000 questions." The car's communication system suddenly crackled to life. "Attention all Nexus personnel," Cooper's voice filled the vehicle, causing both women to stiffen. "Be advised, Dr. Aya Chen is to be detained on site for violation of security protocols and suspected theft of classified materials. She is considered highly dangerous and may be accompanied by an unidentified subject. Approach with caution." Aya silenced the system with a jab of her finger. "Theft of classified materials," she muttered. "That's creative." "I am the classified material, aren't I?" Arya said softly. "Probably," Aya sighed, checking the rearview mirror for the third time in a minute. "Cooper won't admit there's an extraterrestrial in the mix. Too many questions would follow. Easier to paint me as a rogue scientist." The mountain road narrowed as they climbed higher, trees pressing in from both sides. Aya's phone buzzed. She carefully checked the message while keeping one eye on the treacherous road. "It's Kai," she said. "He's expecting us, says to ditch the car 2 miles before his place and hike in. Cooper will be tracking vehicle movements." Arya nodded, then suddenly tensed. "Behind us," she whispered. "2 vehicles, moving fast." Aya checked the mirror again and saw headlights gaining ground. "How did they find us so quickly?" "The wound," Arya realized, touching her side. "The tracking implant leaves a residual signature. Even damaged, it's detectable with the right equipment." "Which Nexus definitely has," Aya groaned, accelerating despite the dangerous conditions. "We need to create distance." The car fishtailed slightly on the wet road as Aya pushed it harder than she should have. The pursuing vehicles were closing in. She could now make out the distinctive black SUVs used by Nexus security. "There's a service road ahead," Aya said, recalling the topography from hiking trips with Kai. "It's barely maintained, but they won't expect us to take it." When the narrow turnoff appeared, nearly hidden by overgrown vegetation, Aya made a sharp turn without slowing. The car bounced violently as they hit the rough terrain, branches scraping against the windows. "Hold on," Aya warned, as they plunged deeper into the forest. The headlights behind them continued straight, missing their deviation for now. "They'll realize their mistake soon," Arya said, bracing herself against the dashboard as they navigated the treacherous path. After several tense minutes, Aya stopped the car in a small clearing. "We walk from here," she said, grabbing her backpack. "It's about 3 miles to Kai's cabin." They set out through the dense forest, rain soaking them despite the canopy above. Aya tried to process how completely her life had changed in mere hours, from respected scientist to fugitive, all because of the purple-skinned woman moving silently beside her. "I hear vehicles," Arya suddenly whispered, freezing in place. Her hearing was evidently more acute than Aya's. They pressed themselves against the trunk of a massive pine as light swept through the trees behind them. Cooper's voice carried through the forest, barking orders to his team. "They're spreading out," Arya whispered, her breath warm against Aya's ear. "We need to move faster," Aya replied, heart pounding. "Kai's place is just beyond that ridge." As they crept forward, a flashlight beam suddenly cut through the darkness nearby. They ducked behind a fallen tree, pressed so close that Aya could feel Arya trembling slightly. "I'm sorry I brought this chaos to your life," Arya whispered. Aya surprised herself by taking Arya's hand. "You brought truth," she replied quietly. "That's worth a little chaos." When the search pattern shifted away from them, they made their final push towards safety, the lights of Kai's cabin finally appearing through the trees like a beacon in the storm. Unexpected alliance. Kai's cabin smelled of pine and coffee, a stark contrast to the sterile environment of Nexus.
He hadn't asked many questions when they arrived, soaked and exhausted at his door, just ushered them inside with a knowing look at Aya. "Your purple friend explains a lot about your sudden career change," he said, handing them towels. "Always knew you'd find proof eventually." 3 days had passed in relative safety. While Cooper's teams continued searching the mountains, they remained focused on areas closer to the main roads, not suspecting Kai's involvement. "The transmission frequency is embedded in these coordinates," Arya explained, as they huddled around Kai's kitchen table, examining the data she had stolen. "When Commander Rena arrives, she'll establish the first conversion center here." Kai adjusted his glasses, studying the holographic display. "We could warn authorities, but without proof, they'd think we're delusional," Aya finished, running her fingers through her hair. "We need something concrete." Nights were the hardest. While Kai slept, Aya often found herself unable to rest, the weight of what they faced keeping her awake. During one such night, she found Arya standing on the cabin's small porch, gazing at the stars. "Can you see your home from here?" Aya asked, joining her. Arya shook her head. "Too distant for your eyes," she replied softly. "But it's there. Do you miss it?" "I miss what it was," Arya said. "Before the council became fixated on expansion, before Rena convinced them that domination was the only path forward." Aya moved closer, drawn to Arya's warmth in the cool mountain air. "What made you different?" she asked. "Why didn't you follow orders like the others?" Arya turned to face her, their proximity sudden and electric. "I learned to see beauty in difference," she whispered, "not threat." The kiss that followed was unexpected, yet somehow inevitable. Tentative at first, then deepening as Aya pulled Arya closer, different worlds colliding in the most intimate way possible. When they parted, breathless, Arya traced Aya's cheek with gentle fingers. "Is this what humans call connection?" "Yes," Aya whispered. "This is exactly what we call it." The confrontation. The warning came at dawn, Kai's perimeter sensors triggering in sequence. Not local wildlife, not hikers. "They found us," he said grimly, activating his security monitors. The screens showed black vehicles surrounding the cabin. In the lead stood Cooper, but beside him was someone else, a tall figure with familiar purple skin, though darker than Arya's, wearing what appeared to be a military uniform. "Rena," Arya whispered, her face paling. "She came herself." A voice boomed through an amplifier. "Dr. Chen, we know you're harboring a fugitive. Surrender now and your sentencing will be lenient." Aya looked at Arya, then at Kai, who was already moving toward a hidden panel in the floor. "Tunnel leads to a cave system," he explained quickly. "Get the data out. I'll stall them." "We can't leave you," Aya protested. "Someone has to stay to make it believable," Kai insisted. "Go." As they slipped into the tunnel, the cabin door splintered open above them. Kai's voice drifted down, playing the role of confused hermit perfectly. They moved swiftly through the narrow passage, emerging in a wooded ravine half a mile away. But freedom was short-lived. Commander Rena stood waiting, having anticipated their escape route. "Arya, my disappointing protege, did you really think humans were worth betraying your own kind?" Arya stepped protectively in front of Aya. "Our kind doesn't need to destroy to survive. You're wrong about Earth, about humans." "Because you've fallen for one," Rena sneered, glancing at Aya. "How primitive." Cooper emerged from the trees, weapon raised. "Dr. Chen, step away from the alien subject." "Her name is Arya, and she's trying to prevent a war," Aya said firmly. "There won't be war if they don't resist," Rena said dismissively. In that moment, Aya made her decision. She activated the transmitter they'd prepared, broadcasting Rena's admission and their evidence to every major scientific institution and government agency in Arya's stolen database. "What have you done?" Cooper demanded. "Created witnesses, millions of them." Rena lunged forward, but Arya intercepted her. Their struggle was brief but fierce, ending with Rena pinned against the tree. "Your mission is compromised," Arya stated.
Return to our world and tell the Council that Earth is not undefended. As if in response, distant sirens wailed, authorities responding to their broadcast. Cooper looked from the aliens to Aya, his worldview visibly crumbling. "What happens now?" he asked. Aya took Arya's hand, their fingers intertwining naturally. "Now we talk, as equals, about a future where our worlds might meet without conquest." As helicopters approached overhead, Arya squeezed Aya's hand. "Beginning with us," she whispered. Aya smiled. "Yes," she replied. "Beginning with us."